Hello, in this video I will show you how to record a script and use correlation rules with extractors and appliers in order to correlate values within your flow. So let's start by creating a TruWeb script. We want to record the script from an application that has correlations. To this end, I have created this small application that allows you to create a flow which has correlations in it. The application works as follows. First, you select a value here. So let's select a value that is easily recognizable in the flow, like AAA123. Then you select where the value will appear in the first server response. So we'll select in the header. And then you select where the value will appear again from the client response. So here I will select in the header as well. Press start, and we can see that in the first server response, a header called cHeader contains our value. And then in the final client response, you can see that in the response headers, the same value appears again, but this time under a random header name, header key. So if I'll run this flow as is, it will always generate this value. So in order to generate a random flow which has these properties, I can click here and then paste the link here. So we can see the same flow again, but this time the cHeader contains a random value and the response contains the same random value. Let's save this script into a tar file. Now let's go back to ViewGen and create a script from our har. We click the record button and select the file that we just created. Okay, so by default, when you create a TruWeb script, the script is created without using correlation rules. Let's find the response that we know that causing the correlation to appear. So here, let's view it in the TruWeb snapshot. So this is the correct response, server response. Here we can see cHeader with the correlated value. Now we know that this value should appear somewhere at the end here. You can see that this is the same value, but now it's hard-coded into the script. So if we try to run it now, the script should fail. So as you can see, we had an error in the script because the server expected the value in this final request N1ET will be the same as the value that's returned by the server in the N1 response. And in this replay, the values are different. So to this end, we have a feature in TruWeb, which is correlation rules. So as I said, by default, the correlation rules are disabled. So let's enable them and see how the script differs. So this is the TruWeb installation directory. And there's a file here called generatorconfig.yml. Let's edit it. Here there's a section called correlation, and you can see that the rule scan enabled flag is set to false. We'll set it to true and make sure that we know where is the correlation rules directory. So by default, the correlation rules directory is this. It's the same folder, but under correlation rules. So this is it. And I have several files here, and the mechanism will load all these files when it's looking for correlation rules. So by default, you will get correlation sp.net YML, which has correlation rules that is related to ASP.NET. And as you can see, these are disabled currently, so they will not be used. So I have already created my own rules, which fits our use case. The category is my rules, and I have a rule here that's called header to header. It's of type boundary and it's enabled. So we know that the header that is going to come back from the server response is C header. So this is the left boundary of this rule. Let's go back to Vuegen and re-record the script from the same har file. This time, the rules are enabled, so we should see a different result. So here is the response N1 from the server that we know that creates a correlation. As you can see, this time there's a new extractor here that's called correlation rule 1, and it has the value that was expected. And also you can see that it says that this value was applied once in the script. This is good because we know that in the rest of the script we use this value once. So let's go back to the end and see that was used in the correct position. So here you can see that the value is now in backticks and the correct extractor was used, the extractor from web response 5 named header to header. Let's make sure. Web response 5 rule name is header to header. Let's find it. You can see that this is the rule name. So this script should replay correctly. Yes, there are no errors now. Behind the scenes, we use a feature called appliers. And this feature is documented in this help page. So by default, if no applier is specified, then a simple applier is used. It simply looks for the same value within the rest of the script and then uses the value here to change the proper requests. Other options that you have here are the boundary applier, which will apply only within the given left or right boundary, or the regex applier, which will apply the value only if it matches a given regular expression. But you can still have the same behavior that was previously before the appliers were created. You can set the applier to none. So let's copy an example from here. And spaces are important in YAML files. So let's set the applier type to none. And see what happens. Okay, so let's re-record the script. Okay, so the extractor is still here. And we can see that it was used, but now the comment says manual applying, which means the value was not searched through the rest of the script. You can see that the value was not applied here. Let's try to create our own simple applier that will use the scope of headers. So we know that the correct value is this tempor, So if we had this string somewhere else in the script, it would be replaced as well. What if we want to tell it just to replace this instance of the string? So we can fine tune the applier. So let's copy this again. And we know that the scope is headers and that the field name relevant to us is this. Okay, so let's re-record the script and see what happens. This again worked because the value that was returned to the server was in the headers, and it was this header. Let's see what happens if we make a mistake and we'll give it a different header. Size. No. We re-record the script. And you can see that this value was not changed. So the appliers allow you to limit your search to a very specific area of the script. Thank you for watching this video about using extractors and appliers with correlation rules. Goodbye.